Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about how to prepare for USMLE Step 1, and I'll give you a sample study schedule about and you will figure out by if you follow that schedule you'll figure out yourself that what you need to do, and you can make your own schedule by following that. So USMLE Step 1. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna tell you, and I think everybody should know, that you should not take a long time. You should not take a long time to prepare for that. The USMLE Step 1. Why? Because the more time you take, the more chance you will forget it. So try to take as less time as you can. It depends on your situation, although maybe you are an old graduate and you haven't been on touch with the books for like 3 or 4 years or 5 years, so it varies actually. But if you ask me that what is the perfect or ideal time to prepare for this USMLE Step 1, I'll say you should not take more than 10 to 12 weeks or to prepare for this thing. So how you can prepare within these 10 to 12 weeks the USMLE Step 1. Let's just discuss our resources, right? What resources you should use and how you're gonna use those resources. So you know, and everyone knows probably that resource, most of the, I think all of the students who are preparing for the USMLE Step 1, they use this thing, the first aid. Okay, the first aid is a book, and it is written by Dr. Tao Li and Dr. Vikash Bhushan and Matthew Shachat, and there is this new version of the book every year. And as it is 2017, there is this new book, 2017 edition. But you can use the older one if you want. I mean, if you are planning to take the Step 1 within June of this year, you can use the 2016 version. There are new pictures that are added to this 2017, but you can use your old book if you're not willing to buy anyone, or you have already taken different notes on your first aid for 2016. Alright, the next material resource you're going to use is the Pathoma. Okay, Pathoma, it comes with an online subscription of 3 months or more, and it comes with a book. If you subscribe, they will send you the book, and it comes with videos. Alright, the videos, there are about 36 hours of videos, and it's dedicated for the pathology. And why using a separate resource for only the pathology? Because a huge bulk or a greater bulk of the questions are coming from this pathology, so it's better to invest on some pathology resources with your first aid. And the third and the most important, I'll say, resource that can use is the question bank. And there are a lot of question banks out there, and I think most of the students use this thing, the UWorld. Alright, so the UWorld comes with different online subscription options like 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. I don't know if there is any 4 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. Okay, so if you subscribe for like 6 months, then you will have an option for doing it a reset. So I'll discuss why this reset is important. Alright, so these are the resources, the primary resources you should use for your USMLE Step 1 preparation. And the other thing that I discussed is you should not take a lot of time preparing for the USMLE Step 1, because there's a chance you will forget the things, because there's a lot of information. I think there are about 1500 plus topics you need to carry on your mind during those 8 hours of the real deal. Alright, so these are the resources, and you can use other resources like I used the for my microbiology was very bad because I couldn't remember different characteristics of different bacteria and viruses. So I used this resource called the micro sketchy micro. Alright, so this resource is good, very good, because they describe things in a um, you can say a running commentary. There's a running commentary, and there's this cartoonized microbes, and I love cartoon, and those who are really good in audiovisual learning, this is for you, and it worked for me. The sketchy micro, I could remember all the different small infos for of different microbes, and it really helped me. And other resources you can use a anatomy atlas anatomy atlas, or you can just search the different pictures in internet, right? Internet. And another thing you can use, I used, that is called the Dr. Najib lectures. All right. He is a great teacher, and he teaches very good. I mean, he got a very good and very um, clear concept about what he is teaching. All right, so I used his neurology lectures. His neurology lectures is really awesome because I really didn't had that much exposure or that much you can say knowledge of neurology before I started preparing. So I used his neurology lecture, and it helped me a lot. Alright, so these are the site resources you can use other than those first three resources: the first aid, the plasmoma, and the UWorld. And I think you can remember I also said that the most important one of them is the UWorld. The UWorld is the most important one. Okay, so now I'm gonna discuss how you can use this UWorld. All right, so it depends. It really depends because everyone's way of studying is different. It might happen that the way I studied will not work for you. So do your own research, right? Do your own research at how you can study, how how long time you can study, and how you can retain that knowledge. I mean, there are some people who can retain the knowledge after just reading them once. Maybe you need 2 times or 3 times to read them and to get the concept. All right, it depends and it varies person to person. So, but what I suggest that the first aid is a material. I mean, it's a learning material, but it should be supplemented. It should be supplemented by UWorld. Supplemented by UWorld. Why? Because if you already have read the first aid, you already know that the first aid is very concise, and the informations are very congested. Informations are very congested, and they are this book is so good because they covered almost all of the information you need to know, the all high yield information you need to know, but they are so congested in some small space, like they sometimes describe things in 2 or 3 lines or even 2 or 3 words, very high yield things. So if you are just passively reading the first aid from day one of your preparation, I think that would not be a very good idea. I think you should supplement it with eWorld. And how you're gonna supplement it? Suppose the first thing you can do is to read the UWorld. I mean, give give some attention. I said read read UWorld, and why I said read UWorld, because it's a book. UWorld is a book, right? It's not a testing center. or a testing material. It's a book or it's a studying material. So you need to study your world, because your world explains the things very good. And I think the best explanator of these topics, of those 1500 plus topics, is the your world. Your world explains it all, and that's why your first aid should be supplemented with your world. Maybe in the first aid there is some important topics that is just described in 3 words. Okay, let's just assume they described it in 3 words, but when you find it the same topic in your world, you find that they describe a whole question out of those, um, on those 3 words, and they explained it in a very wide and very good way. And what you can do, you can take notes from this big explanation, and you can stick those on your first aid. All right, and you can do it in several way. The note taking, you can write on the first aid. Suppose here's a page of the first aid, and you can, you already know, I hope you know that there's a lot of blank spaces. There are a lot of blank spaces in the margins and the bottom and the top part of the book. All right, and almost every pages you can use those uh, empty spaces. Use those empty spaces for writing the notes, or you can do another way. You can take a sticky note. You can take a sticky note and you can stick the notes here. All right, in all over the pages you can stick those things. Or another way you can use, you can stick a whole paper, whole new paper, and you stick on the pages. Or you can just uh, cut your first aid in pieces, and you just make the different sections in different files and add the extra notes, and put them together in the file. Anyway you can use it, but that's the way using first aid. Don't go over the first aid from the day one. Try to do the you world first, then take notes on the first aid, then review the first aid. That's a good way, and I think that's the best way to use the first aid. All right. Okay, so now there's one question I face from my students. Sometimes ask me that, okay, the first aid is almost 600 pages book. So if we use the first aid, if we want to supplement the first aid with UWorld, uh, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, it will take a lot of time. Trust me, it will take a lot of time, but it that time is worth it, right? You spend those time, that the expenditure is worth it. But if you go over the first aid passively over like for 2 months, I don't think that is that much worth it. All right, so try to take notes, and you can use a strategy that can help you save some of your time. Like you can use a section wise world. Section wise world, how's that? Suppose you are doing the CVS. Suppose you are doing the CVS, and what you can do, you can first just look at the first aid. Just look at the first aid, don't read it, and you find that there is this different sections like anatomy, uh, and it includes the embryology, and then comes the physio. All right, and so on. They divided this CVS thing into these parts. All right, so what you can do, you can take a block in the U world as the topics that appears in your first aid. So it needs some discussion about how you're gonna take a block in the U world. Those of you who don't know how the U world looks like, it's a question bank, and you need to start a block. I mean, you need to take 40 questions. 40 questions is the limit. 40 questions, and you need to solve those questions. But there are several options how you're going to use it. There is this interf what is this called? I forgot. All right, so there's this screen that will show you. There is timed mode, tutor mode, right? Timed tutor. There is this untimed mode, right? And this kind of modes are there. So in timed mode, The time will be 1 hour, 1 hour, and you need to finish your questions on those 1 hour. You need to answer all the questions, and after you finish the block, they will show you the answer. All right. In the tutor mode, you do one question at a time. You answer one question, and after that, just after you select the answer, they will give you this long explanation. All right, and they will give you, the most important thing is they will give you why the other options are not the answer. That's very important, because you will find out that maybe you chose a wrong answer, but after reading this explanation you'll find out that okay, I chose it wrong, so I should read it and why it is wrong and why the other thing is right. That is the way you should learn. All right, that helps a lot, trust me. All right, the timed tutor mode is almost like the tutor mode, but there is a timing. But don't worry that it follows the same strategy. Like after one question, and the question, I mean, there will be a timing, 1 hour, but after you answer a question, the time will be frozen, and then there will be this explanation. Okay, so on this mode I usually used this mode a lot, because it helped me. Maybe you can use some students suggest you always it should use the timed mode, some used the tutor mode, some used the untimed mode, whatever. Okay, these are the different timing modes in the U world. All right, and there is this another thing that you can use all question. You can use only the unused question, you can use the marked question, and here is this custom. All right, these are the options they will give you. All questions mean there is in the first aid sorry UWorld for step 1, it comes with about 2500 questions. Right, so the 2500 questions, if you choose this option, every time they will give you all, I mean they will pull 40 questions. I told you earlier that you can start a block of 40 questions. 40. All right, they will pull 40 questions out of that 2500 question, and they will give you a block, arrange a block for you so that you can learn it. Again, I'm using the word learn it because it's a studying tool, it's not a testing tool. All right, or you can use the unused question, and you can probably guess it that what is the unused one. Maybe you have done like 10 blocks, 10 blocks, you are done with 10 blocks, and 10 blocks mean 400 questions are done. So how many questions left? 2100. So then the URL will pull 40 questions. When you choose the unused, it will pull 40 questions out of that 2100. All right, marked, what is that? When you answer the question or when you solve the UWorld, you'll find that on the top there will be this marking marking option, mark. All right, you can mark the question. Maybe you want to review it some later time, so you can mark the question. And maybe you have done the UWorld, like you have finished the UWorld for once, and you marked suppose you marked 1500 questions. Then if you choose the marked, they will pull those 40 questions out of those 1500 questions. And the custom one I never used. You need to know the question ID. There is separate question ID for the UWorld, and you need to put it, I mean you need to insert the question ID to find the question. Okay, so these are the timing and the different question pools you can use. And there is this subjects choice, and there is this subdivision choice of the URL. In the subjects there is this bigger subjects like anatomy, okay, physio, the biochemistry, the path. Okay, these subjects are there in the subject choice, and in the subdivision you'll find a lot subdivisions like maybe allergy and immuno. Right, this got a separate subdivision, the CVS, right, the nephro, like a lot of subdivisions, maybe 20, I don't know, maybe 20 subdivisions are there. Okay, so we were discussing how you gonna save the time. What is the strategy of saving time? When suppose you are doing the CVS, so what you how you can save time, you select the subdivision CVS only because you were only doing CVS today, and you choose subdivision anatomy, physio, and the embryo, right? Embryo, and you will find that okay, there are more than 40 questions on those three division for the subdivision CVS, right? And if you do only those subjects, the anatomy, embryo, and physio, you'll find that your study will be limited to some few pages of the first aid. Maybe the first aid covers this thing, anatomy, physio, and embryo of CVS within 25 pages. Within 25 pages, all right? So if you just go around it, if you just go around these questions, your study will be limited on those 25 pages, and it will be easier for you to find the topic and stick your notes on the respective pages, right? That in Following that way, you can save some of your time, all right? But if you want to, okay, do the whole thing, like there is this uh, random timed random block choice, like you choose all the subjects, you choose all the subdivisions, okay, then the UWorld will give you questions from all over the book. Now after when reading the question explanations, you will have to go through all the 600 pages to find your respective section to take notes. So it will take a little bit more time, but don't worry, you can follow either. All right, so that's the way you can use UWorld and you can take notes on the UWorld. All right, so now I told you that you should not study a lot of time, you should not use a lot of resources, just few resources, and you should study the first aid first, sorry, the UWorld first, and then take notes on first aid, then review the first aid. All right, now uh, is study sample. Okay, the study sample that suppose you asking me, okay, I got 4 months to study, how I'm gonna study. All right, so what my care rule is, um, you should finish these resources at least 2 times each. All right, you should finish these resources at least 2 times each. Like you should finish the first aid for 2 times, you should finish the UWorld for 2 times at least, and you should finish the Pasoma videos with the book for 2 times. Or maybe you can skip the book, you just want to go through the videos. All right, so you might ask me, okay, if I skip the videos, how I'm gonna learn? Okay, what you can do when you are watching the videos, you can take notes on your first aid. Right, it helps you save some time, because when you are revising the first aid, you will go over the first aid. Also, you will go over the UWorld, because your UWorld notes are on first aid already, and your Pasoma notes are also on first aid. Okay, so that will um, give you a complete and compact study tool to revise in a short period of time. Okay, so you can follow this rule, or also you can take the Pasoma, because it's not a very big book, 220 pages, and yeah, it's doable. All right, so you need to go over each of this material at least 2 times on your study period. And I told you that maybe you have 4 months to study for this thing. All right, so now how you gonna use it, all right? So the first aid, it is 630 pages. All right, 630 pages. All right, and the UWorld, it got 2500 questions, and the Pasoma got 36 hours of videos. Right, so 630 pages, if you want to go over 2 times, it gives you 1260 pages. I'm not that good at math, let me check. Yes, 1260 pages. So, and then the 2500 questions, if you wanna go over them twice, it it will give you 5,000 questions, and it will give you 72 hours of Pasoma. Now you got 4 months, right? You got 4 months to go over them twice, right? So 4 months, let's say you take 1 day break each week, so there is 4 weeks in 1 month, so there is total 16 weeks in 4 months, right? So in 16 weeks, you take 1 day break, so it seems that you use 6 days of your week, so you have total 96 days to prepare for this exam. All right, now you can guess it how you're gonna use it, but what I'm gonna tell you, the first pass it will take some time. First pass it will take some time, so I'll suggest use first 60 days to go over the first pass. All right, and in the second pass you will see that it is taking less time than the first pass. Why? I'm gonna explain it. Okay, so in the first pass, what you need to do, you need to go over the UWorld, you need to take notes. It will take a lot of time. All right, suppose you are doing the first pass and you got this 60 days to go over the 2500 questions of the UWorld, and if you calculate it, you need to do 40 questions a day. 40 questions a day on the first 60 days, right? 40 questions is purely doable. Trust me, it's doable. Maybe you will find it a little bit harder to do, but it's doable because there are students who can do 80 questions or maybe 100 questions a day, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of concentration. If you can concentrate and you can sit for a long period, and it, it is really doable, this 40 questions. All right, so do 40 questions and you'll find that after 60 days you are done once with your world. And the good news is the 40 questions, again, let's remind you, you need to take notes from that for those 40 questions every day. Those 40 questions you can take notes, and your first aid will be a super first aid. All right, because now your first aid got all of the notes from your world, and those 630 pages, if you want to go over 60 days, it's very doable. And some might laugh at you if you can't do it, because you just need to go 10 pages a day. 10 pages a day of first aid. And what I suggest you, go over those pages, the pages which you have annotated with your world. All right, don't go passively again and don't waste your time. Go just 10 pages or maybe 12 pages a day, and it will help you finish the first aid earlier. And do those 12 pages or those 10 pages, those are annotated with your world. All right, now and you can watch like half an hour of videos from the Pathoma, and you can use the other materials if you can study like 8 to 10 hours. I think this thing is doable, because the a standard time for doing the world, one block of your world with taking notes and sticking them on the respective section of the first aid, is 4 hours. 4 hours, maybe sometimes you need 5 hours or maybe 6 hours, but standard time is 4 hours. All right, so if you can study 10 to 12 hours per day, it's very doable, very doable. All right, so don't worry, just give, if you haven't started yet or you were in a confusion that I am confused. Okay, if you are in a confusion that where am I, or am I progressing good, or am I doing it good, or am I in the right track, don't worry, just start from today. Take those 60 days and 1 day off each week, and do your best. Do your best. You know what is your best, I don't know. All right, so you can do it. You can do it. All right, and then after these 60 days, you are left with 36 days. Okay, and you will find that those 36 days will be a breeze and will be very smooth. Why? Because you now don't have to take notes. That's a great feeling, because you don't have to take notes. All you have to do, you need to read the URL questions and find the respective section on the first aid. The same thing, but you don't have to take the notes. You just have give a glimpse on the first aid respective section, and you read the URL explanations with the wrong answers. That's it, simple. It will take less time for you to finish this time. And on those 36 days, I think now you can do 2 blocks easily. 2 blocks is very much doable now. So if you do the 2 blocks each day, you are fully prepared and you are done and you are ready to take the exam. But wait, how you can assess it? What I suggest, after those 60 days, the first pass, take NBME, take one NBME exam, whatever it is. Currently there is this 13, 15, there is no 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. These are the NBMEs currently there. I don't know if the 13 is still there. Alright, so maybe the 13 is there. Okay, so take one of them. Like I'll suggest take this any one of these three, and assess yourselves where are you standing. Okay, then proceed. I think you will be fine, very fine. You will I think you'll reach your score after the first pass. If you follow this rule, stick to this rule, you'll be very fine. And if you are not, even if you're not, you got 36 days left to prepare. Okay, on those 36 days, I will suggest you'll take another 2 or 3 NBMEs. All right, keep the latest NBMEs like 18 or 19 for your final assessment. Okay, and another thing you should do, I suggest, try to take an 8-hour exam at a stretch, because it's really hard. I mean, if you don't have experiences of taking these long exams, it will be really harder for you in the final exam day, and you don't want it. And the other advices are simple, and you have heard a lot of times. You need to sleep the night before. Maybe you will not be able to sleep, but try to sleep, and trust me, if you follow this rule, you'll be fine. Okay, thank you. I think it will help you out.